going on behind the scenes. I must bring our viewers into this. They're matching almost today by pure coincidence. But I suppose it's symbolic of a united attempt to make sure that entrepreneurs have a good time in South Africa and they flourish. I'm going to start with you, Andile, if I may. Sure. Talk to us about this initiative and why it's so important for you.
The only reason Bonnke wore the same jacket as I is because he looks up to me. But back to entrepreneurship. Yes, indeed, of course, entrepreneurship is very important. It's something that Bonnke and I are very passionate about. I guess if you look at all the challenges we've got in the country, particularly in the past 20 years where you're trying to get the majority of South Africans into the mainstream economy, you look at options as a country of how to do that. And we just feel that entrepreneurship is one of the most sustainable ways we can get as many people to participate in the economy as possible. It empowers people, it gives them confidence. You kind of wake up in the morning, you run whatever you run, whether it's a small little business or a bigger business, and at the end of the day you feel accomplished and you're able to feed your family. So the more we can encourage more and more, particularly young people. I saw a story you did earlier about the minister complaining that people are not going to the so-called FET colleges because of the stigma, because too many people want to go to university. Well, there's a lot of people then go to these FET colleges and also get skills, and they need encouragement and support perhaps to open and start their own businesses.
The ideal is what you're talking about, Andile, that you feel empowered, you wake up in the morning, you're your own boss, you're hiring one or two, maybe a staff of 5 to 10 people. It is very empowering, but unfortunately we see oftentimes in South Africa that startups don't last past their first year. Speak to us about the challenges.
I think there are two reasons why most people fail. Reason number one, they start a business for the wrong reason. I've had young people saying, I want to start a business because I want to employ people. That's not your role. Your role as an entrepreneur is to make money, and in that process, then you employ people. That's one. Number two, I think most people get into the game without understanding the long-term objective of why they're in that particular space. Entrepreneurship is not a fun place. There's so much pain, but with that pain, you learn something about who you are and actually develop a product. And last but not least, I think get into a space where you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about that particular product or service, you won't wake up in the morning like we are here this morning.
Bright and early, yes. Matching and everything. I want to speak to you about the nature of the businesses in South Africa. Yeah. I was at a conference recently and they were speaking so much about how we're services driven. Yeah. A lot of the startups, it's your caterer, it's they're providing a service and not enough production is going on. Not enough of your black industrialists. We're not manufacturing things that can be proudly South African, that can be exported perhaps. What is your opinion on that?
Well, we're kind of between a rock and a hard place as a country. So, since we entered the global economy and therefore can be able to trade with other countries and other countries can trade with us, you're driven a lot by global shifts. And what's happened is that, people in South Africa and big companies, or could be your clients, can order the same stuff that you manufacture in South Africa from other countries around the world at perhaps at a better prices. And there's no better example than what China has done to the manufacturing sector in South Africa over the past 10 years. I was reading the results of Mr. Price, their annual results, and they were talking about how the field of people being able to manufacture material, just pure fabric in South Africa is now only starting. The problem they have, though, is that there's not enough people who run those factories now. Because for the past 10, 15 years, those factories have gone under because of what's happened in China. So, yes, to your point, and it's a bit of a two-edged sword, by being part of a global economy, it does mean that we have to compete with other countries. So in South Africa, there are industries that over the years were protected and are no longer protected, and they have been affected by that. And manufacturing is right up there with those kind of industries. Having said that, though, there's nothing wrong with services businesses. There's nothing wrong with trading businesses. It just means that we as a country have to become more competitive than we've been in the past so that we can compete with what might be equal quality at cheaper prices. Of course, also we like the state protecting these industries if they could do as much as possible to protect those industries, because what it does is it allows entrepreneurs to start those businesses, but also, more importantly, to Bonnke's point about employment, it also protects jobs, frankly. So if we can get to a place where we are competitive, but to the extent possible also protected, I think it will help the local economies to flourish. But unfortunately, we are part of a global economy.
Bonnke, in the wise words of Mendoza, so
Professor Mendoza.
Professor Mendoza, he should be given that honorary title. A lot of young people want to do something. They're at the moment in your corners, loitering, unemployed, youth unemployment, a problem not only in South Africa, the world over. I'm at home, I'm a young South African, I'm looking to start a business. How does my startup help me?
At the end of the day, I think it's by doing. A business card, registering a company, having a title saying CEO or director means nothing unless you are selling. Business is about selling. So there are two ways to do it. Number one, go and work for someone. Go and learn under someone. Use that money to make mistakes. Or two, start selling something. Sell a pencil. Sell a banana. But most people have business plans. They've got 100 pages of business plans, but they're doing nothing about it. We've been in this game for over 20 years, but every single day we're still learning. Why are we learning? Because we're in the game. Most people want to sit in the grandstand and hope to influence what's happening on the ground. At the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, if you want to learn the best way, get into the game, either under someone or doing it on your own in a small scale.
Your message, Global Entrepreneurship Week, as we wrap?
I think entrepreneurs must take every opportunity to be trained and exposed to others who've done it before. That's part of the reason we're here. So this Saturday in Cape Town, we have our event called I Am an Entrepreneur, where we're featuring somebody like Alan Knott Craig. He's our guest speaker to talk about how he's built the businesses he's done in the technology sector. It's very, very cheap. It's like $100. You buy tickets or copy ticket. And there's many events like this happening this week. My advice would be try to get to as many of these as possible so that you're exposed to those who've done it and those who've learned through walking this journey.
I hope you're tapping into the township economy. Are you taking such initiatives to areas that are, outside of the mainstream hub?
Yep, I mean, the last event that we did was in Nelspruit. We're in Umlazi, we're in Newcastle. So wherever we are invited, where there's space, we are definitely there.
Okay, we're wrapping up. Website or contact details?
www.mystartupsa.com. You can also find us on Twitter at MyStartupSA, and of course Andile and Bonnke also on Twitter, and also on Facebook, My Startup.
Thank you so very much for joining us, gentlemen. There you have it. You heard, do something, anything. Sell a pencil, sell Amasweetie, start somewhere. Richard Maponya, who is now a world-renowned name, also started just selling impahla, clothes, just to friends and family. So you can always find a spot to start. We leave it there for now.